Hey, welcome back to No Hype Beer Reviews. Unless it's your first time, then welcome. Please consider subscribing. If you do, hit the notification bell, get all the updates. Release every day's video. The beer's courtesy of Ross. Thanks so much, Ross. I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. This is the last of the last year Revolution Deepwoods beers, which seems appropriate because they're already releasing this year, so it took me long enough, but I'm excited for this one. Gravedigger Billy. It's a Scotch ale aged in bourbon barrels. I do like Scotch ales, but I don't drink them very often. So it's, a base style that I like, and it's kind of cool that it was aged in bourbon barrels. So it's 14.2% ABV. I decided not to read this part until after I give my thoughts. But as always, great can art on these. I really like these labels. All right, so this is from January of this year. So not quite, about 11 months. Or no, 10 months. Sorry. Haven't even had a beer yet, and I'm already bad at math. All right. So it has a nice brown, red, crimson color to it. It's relatively thick. It's not motor oil, but it's relatively, you can see through it a little bit. So I don't know what to call that. But, right, like I can see my finger. Yeah, like you can probably see my finger a little bit, right? The head is, it's, you added a lot of milk to coffee kind of a color. Small bubbles, not a ton of head, but, definitely it's there. Given the ABV, I'm kind of surprised there's that much head. Some nice legs. The lacing doesn't stick around too much. Let's get into the aroma. All right, so here's my it smells good, but that's not actually even my initial thought. My initial thought is I get the bourbon, but it kind of smells like a barley wine. So now in my mind, I'm like, man, like, all right, so like how is this different than a barley wine? There's a little bit more earthiness to it, but like I do get like some dates, some caramel, like some of those like dried fruits. But then, there's more of like this earthy, it's not quite herbaceous. Like more, oh man, it's not quite molasses either, but a little bit more savory than I think a barley wine has. Slight mintiness to it as well. Slight smoke, not quite peaty, that's interesting. Yeah, so you kind of like, if you haven't had, like me, if you haven't had a Scotch ale in a while, and I'm not an authority because I haven't had this style in a while. I haven't really looked at tasting notes or whatever aroma notes and tasting notes for a Scotch ale. But like how this is hitting me is, well, if you do drink a lot of barley wines like I do, you kind of like start with a barley wine, then you add a little bit more like this like savory, almost smoky, peaty, earthy thing. But yeah, again, it smells really good. Let's get into the taste. Cheers. Thanks again, Ross. The taste follows that. Good amount of bourbon. You get the spirit, little oak tannin. But not a lot of like vanilla or coconut. It's just bourbony and tanniny, but not the other stuff that I can sometimes get from barrel-aged beers like this. Good level of warmth in the chest. Does have, again, it follows the aroma so much. I do get some of these like dried fruits, a little bit of that caramel, but then it does hit, it not like soy sauce, savory, but I'm just trying to think of like what's balancing out the sweet elements, and then it does. I think savory is the right word, but not like full on soy sauce. Where you do get like a little bit of molasses, a little bit of smoke, that peatiness. Wow. I will at this point see what they had to say. I think they usually put some tasting notes on the side. An old favorite from the early days of Revolution makes a return. This bourbon barrel-aged Scotch ale, decked out in a fine tartan kilt, has a delicate smokiness. Okay, yeah, I'm glad I picked up on that. Alongside American oak, yeah, and bourbon character. Pour a wee dram and let the how you pronounce it? Brogue fly, brogue, Brogue. Don't be daft. Enjoy now or store cold. It was stored cold-ish for a while. Yeah. So okay. So not a ton of tasting notes, but the smokiness they mentioned, so that that makes me happy. But it's definitely there. But yeah, some of those dried fruits. Yeah, a little bit of raisin. Yeah, almost like you took like things like dates and raisins and put them in a smoker for a little bit. Slight char. Ooh, you know what I'm getting right now? Really nice bitter dark chocolate note. Ooh, that's wow. It's in the sip. It's not just in the aftertaste, but it came more to the forefront now as I'm talking. After the sip, the initial like liquid is gone. That aftertaste it's more prominent. But then you realize, no, that was there earlier, but there were other things going on, so it wasn't as noticeable. Adds a little bit of depth, complexity, but also works really well with all these other flavors. That might be like a thing that's kind of helping tie something. Like, because again, like when I said, dried fruit in a smoker, I'm not saying it's inherently like fruity things can work well with smoky things. Like a cherry reduction barbecue sauce or whatever on smoked products can work really nicely, right? But I don't think that like initially hearing like take some raisins, put them in a smoker, like I don't think that's the initial thought. But when you reflect upon it, it's like no, those flavors do make sense. So but I think this like chocolatey note is kind of helping bridge some of these things that don't seem so obvious to work together. Because this beer, I'm not gonna say like of these beers from them in this series, this is not like top half for me, to be fair. But that doesn't mean it's not a good beer. I actually like this quite a bit, and I do think it does taste good. Not that I mean, I guess taste is objective, right? But like, or subjective. But like, I do really like this taste. But what actually is getting me more excited is how it's different from anything I've had in a while. So different and bad is not a good thing, but different and good is a great thing, and that's what I'm trying to get at. That's probably the most succinct way of saying it. But yeah, thanks again, Ross. I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Have you guys had this beer before? Have you had any of the new ones? This is this is the last year batch. Boring. Not really. But have you had any of the new stuff you want to talk about? Anything, everything, comment section below. Let's get a conversation going. Once you're done doing that, make sure you check me out on Instagram and Untapped. It's No Hype Beer Reviews at both of those places. So please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, imbibe. Cheers, everyone.